is good, everyone? This is your host, Deanna Kemple of Label Free Podcasts. Live your best life. You must live label free. I'm super excited. You know I love my artists, my musicians, anyone that's so creative. I want to introduce to you John McDonough. He has spent the last 25 years playing in and around Austin while co-producing and self-releasing 8 CDs of original music. John, welcome.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for joining me today.
It's such a pleasure to be here.
Can you please introduce yourself and tell the audience a little bit about your background?
Well, like she said, I'm John McDonough, and I have spent the last 25 years living in Austin, Texas. I loved it, and but
Party town.
Party town. But after 25 years, I was feeling a little itchy, wanting a change, and moved back to the Midwest, which I vowed I would never do. But my family lives in the area, and I have a 10-year-old niece who I'm very close with, and so I made the move, back here. So it's good. I'm a retired psychotherapist.
Oh, look at you.
And so about 10 years ago, I was getting really burned out with that. And I said I'm going to take 6 months off, and here we are 10 years later, and I don't think I'm going back to it.
That's great.
I've been doing music full time. I mean, music has been a part of my life forever, and it was part time all those years. It's been full time the last 10 years, and it's been really good.
Awesome.
And so I'm happy where I am right now, so I don't think I'm going to go back to it.
That's amazing. I have a lot of questions. But before we dive into that, I just have to plug really quick. We are filming here in Chicagoland area in Lincoln Park at Birch Road Social Club. It's a private club. They are very gracious, and it's a fun place to be if you're looking to join. I will put the link to their website in the description of the episode, and we just want to say thank you to Birch Road for hosting us here today. John, that was a big shift. So being a psychotherapist, and then getting into being, I know you said music was always a part of that, like just to be retiring from that and going 100% into being a musician, it's like almost like polar opposites, I feel like.
In a lot of ways, it's very different. I'll tell you sort of how I find my similarities.
Okay, yeah, let's hear that.
But like I said, so my sister, I have a little sister I'm very close with.
Okay.
And she's single, and I've always said she was born to be a mom, and she decided she's like, I want to have a baby, and I'm getting up there in age, and so she had a kid with artificial insemination. And that's when I was feeling really burned out with psychotherapy and just sort of lost, and I said, okay, I'm going to take 6 months off. I'll go help her with the baby.
Sure. Oh, that's nice.
And
I hope one of my siblings help me with that when I have a baby. Like, I don't know. I might be on my own.
and it was a great experience. It was just a fantastic experience. It turned into a year, basically, that I was up here for a year with them. And so I'm super close to her, super close to my whole family, but super close to my niece. Yeah. And so that's when I decided, during that year, toward the end of that year, I'm like, I still don't want to go back, so I'm going to go make music, my full-time job.
Yeah.
Now, like I said, depending on how busy I was with school or with work, I was always playing music and always playing professionally, but sometimes more, sometimes less, depending. You know? So it was a big switch to go full-time and be like, when I made the decision, I was like, well, I better give it all I got. This is what I'm going to do.
For sure.
There's nothing, so sort of no fallback plan. But so it was a big switch. Now, where it was sort of similar was I sort of used the same skills in my songwriting.
Interesting.
I always joke that I don't write too many love songs. I said I can only write so many love songs or lack of love songs before I get bored of it. I love documentaries. I'm reading constantly. My mind works in the same way when I'm watching those things, like how a person became mentally unhealthy and then how they came back to being healthy. Yeah. And not in a bad way, just like what did this person go through
that is interesting though, to watch something like that and to understand how that happens to someone so that you can make sure you look out for signs of yourself, like, oh shit, I'm going down the wrong path.
That's right. And I use that a lot in my songwriting. So I find a lot of inspiration in those stories, and I write lots of songs based on other people and their experiences.
Sure.
And it's interesting because it's interesting for me because it's experiences I would never have.
Right.
I have songs from being a Holocaust survivor to being an astronaut.
Wow.
Two things I would never get to experience.
Yeah.
For an example. but my therapy mind is always working in that same way. Like, what makes this person tick? What happened to them to make them tick this way? You know, and things like that. So that's where it's still sort of is a big part of my life.
Well, I can I mean, so are you analyzing me right now? I had to ask, you know. You set yourself up for that one.
I did. And people ask that all the time.
Oh my goodness. Talk about living label free. So I think a lot of people, when they become like a psychotherapist and they get that, I mean, that requires a PhD, correct?
Well, it depends. I just have a master's in counseling. So
Okay.
it's different degrees for different things. But
Sure.
to be a therapist, usually it's a master's.
Okay.
When a doctorate is a person that can, sometimes you have a doctorate and you perform talk therapy.
Right.
Most of the time a doctor is someone that can prescribe medication, which
Right.
I couldn't do.
Okay. And so to kind of like get out of that box, so to speak, I think when people get into that role, they kind of put themselves in a box, and this is what they do, this is how they act, you know, and they're very, you know, dun, 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 right? Yeah, I mean, you're the therapist. Tell me if I'm wrong. You know, I've read plenty of books myself.
I'm laughing because you're so right. There comes a lot of pressure, like, you know, like you have to behave a certain way. You have to sort of, you know, if you get mad, people are like, "What? You're a therapist?"
Right.
If you're sarcastic, people are like, "What? You're a therapist?" You know, so you find you have to behave in a way, and that was one of the things that sort of. I was happy to let that go, to be honest.
I can imagine. So that brings me to my next question. So you said that music was always a part of your life. So at what point had you always been into music when you were younger, like a young person? And because that has to be a great outlet. You're listening to all these people tell their crazy stories and how they're all fucked up. Sorry, I'm just kidding. I take that back.
If any of my former clients are watching, I never said you were fucked up. Just
you put that on me, all right? It's all me over here. I'm just kidding. I'm not putting labels on anybody. It's label free for a reason. But in all seriousness, though, you have to find some form of release, right? So I would imagine that creativity, that harmony, that music, doing that yourself is a form of release.
It was a very nice form of release, yes. And yes, as a little kid, I used to sing. I'd turn on the stereo, sing along at the top of my lungs. I just always loved to sing. Always loved the singer-songwriters. Even I always joke that my first album I ever bought was, at 10 years old, I bought Chapin's Taxi.
Okay.
Which is sort of an odd album, I think, for like a 10-year-old to buy. You know, but I mean, I just wore that album out. You know, I just couldn't get enough of it. And I was always into people like James Taylor, things like that. And then when I was a teenager, I started taking guitar lessons because I wanted to be able to sing and play myself and not just have to sing along to the radio. And but I didn't really start focusing on music full-time until college. I was a tennis player through high school and part of college, and that was really my focus. But when I stopped playing tennis in college, I immediately just switched all that discipline into music.
Yeah.
And started going that way.
I love it. We got to give a quick shout out to our sponsor. Father's Day is just around the corner, and you probably need a gift for a hairy husband, significant other, father, sugar daddy possibly, or the father of your dog. Make the men in your life proud this year and get him the Manscaped Lawnmower 4.0. Manscaped is the only men's brand dedicated to below-the-waist grooming and just launched their Lawnmower 4.0. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the code LABELFREE20 at www.manscaped.com. So John, I think that's great that you were able to take your passion for tennis and move it into music and not lose that outlet that we all need. I know for me, I have something. Okay, and you got shopping, I got the hair and makeup, I got my facials, and I got my working out because I'm a bodybuilder too. I do it all. So I think it's very important for people to have some kind of outlet, especially when you're doing something as intense as you are. I can't even imagine what that would take from you because you need that release. But let's move into you after retiring and going full time, because I feel like any of our artists that are out there listening, that it's important to hear from another artist that's been doing it for a while and how you've been able to do that full time, because that can be difficult.
It's very difficult. I have many words of advice, but the one, speaking of this, is I always say you have to celebrate your small successes.
For sure.
Because it's such a tough business, and very few of us are playing arenas and selling millions of CDs.
Right.
So to stay motivated and to stay positive, you have to celebrate your small successes, because it can start to feel like you're just banging your head against the wall and not getting anywhere,
Yeah.
And that's not true. You are always getting somewhere. It's just, it's a long, hard process, and it's small steps.
Yeah. But I feel like if you're following your passion, that certain things do start falling into place and start happening naturally for you.
I think that's right. And what they say, this is a cliche, but I finally got it, understood it with music, is when you're doing something with your passion, even the little things aren't really frustrating, and the details are so important. That's when you know you're onto something good.
Sure.
When I can sit there and work on my website, for example, and I want it to be just right, I don't care about web design. Yeah. But when I can do that and I'm like into it, that's when I know I'm doing something right.
Yeah.
Whereas if I had to do a web design for a business I was working for, I'd be like, I don't
but when you're drawing a creative blank, like, whoa, where is it at?
or creating like a poster. When it's your passion, even the mundane parts of the job are not mundane anymore.
Right.
And that's when, for me, I know that, like, okay, this is what I want. This is what I should be doing.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, because the whole podcasting space, I just love it. I love it so much. I love meeting people like you. My producer and I, we have so much fun releasing our episodes, and it's just naturally progressed. So I feel like I'm where I'm supposed to be, and we'll see where it takes us. We're just gonna keep going and just keep riding this wave. But you have released 8 CDs of original music. That's hard, I feel like, for an artist to do.
It's been a lot. It's been over many years, but what's been a lot is since I retired from therapy, so that was 10 years ago, I've released 5 CDs.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so that has been a lot.
Yeah.
At the same time, if you work hard at it, it's it doesn't seem like it's a lot.
Sure.
It's so but it's exciting, and I love to record, and so that process also is just, I like to perform live, I like to record, and so it's exciting to go into the studio and record your songs and see how they come out in the end.
That being said, we have a special treat for you guys. John is going to pick up his guitar and do a little acoustic for us. So John, can you please tell the audience what you're going to play for us, maybe the story behind the song and all that good stuff?
Sure. So this is a song I wrote, actually. So my new CD is an acoustic CD of older songs that I re-recorded.
Okay.
In 2014, I had a release out called Dreams and Imagination. And in 2016, I had a release out called Surrounding Colors. And I've reworked a lot of these songs, and they've grown and changed with me over the years. And so I was like, and I've always wanted to do an acoustic CD. I love the days, MTV days, of Unplugged.
Yeah.
So I decided with the pandemic, it was a good time to go into the studio and do this acoustic CD, and I'm so excited with the way it came out.
Awesome.
So the song I'm going to play for you is a song called The Place Where I Belong, and it's about John Denver.
Okay.
I was out in Aspen 5 or 6 years ago. Loved the mountains. I used to live in Colorado as a kid, and hadn't been to Aspen forever. Since I'd been there, they built the John Denver Sanctuary.
Okay. And
it's beautiful, a beautiful space, and it was just so peaceful, and I was just so moved by it. I'm a big John Denver fan.
Okay.
We listened to him all the time when I was a kid. And so I came home and wrote this song about him.
Awesome. So, all right, let's hear it. I'm excited, you guys. I love live music.
Place where I belong. It's a feeling I've never known. The aspens speak to me in the breeze, and one day when I'm gone, my words will be written in stone. world outside is crumbling. My brother's shipping off to war. I'll sing for you about the peace I feel when I'm lying with my lady friends all around and we're cheering for the stars. This is the place where I belong. It's a feeling I've never known. The aspens speak to me in the breeze. And one day when I'm gone, my words will be written in stone. Thank you.
That was amazing. Oh my goodness. I really enjoyed that. That was beautiful.
So that was just a snippet of the song, but that gives you an idea of
oh my goodness.
how I sound. So, and that song has gotten a lot of traction. People seem to really like it.
Yeah.
The original version with the full band and the acoustic version, both seem to really like it. So.
I love that. So can you please let the audience know where they can find you, support you, and all that good stuff?
So my name is John McDonough, and I know it's a mouthful and it's hard to spell, so I did something to make life easy on people. If you go on Twitter, I set up a Twitter account just for this reason. If you go John M Live, John M Live on Twitter, the first pinned tweet is all my links to my website, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. So you can go there, you can choose how you want to follow me. It's very easy. So just go to Twitter, John M Live, and you'll see all my links.
Awesome. I will make sure I put all those links in the description of the episode. And I know you already left some words of wisdom for us, but for any starving artist out there that's just getting started and questioning, following their passion, questioning, because as a psychotherapist, people question themselves, and it's hard for them to find the path that they're looking for.
Yes.
So, what would you offer any of our artists that are listening to this episode as words of advice or wisdom?
This is my other advice that I always tell people. The music business is so tough. You have to do it all and do it all the time. And what I mean by that is you have to work on your craft, work on your songwriting, work on your playing, work on your singing, make music videos, play live, record.
Yeah.
And you have to do it all and do it all the time.
Yeah.
And it can be overwhelming. But the business is so competitive, that's what you have to do.
Yeah.
And instead of feeling like it's overwhelming, for me, I feel like it's fun. If I'm getting burned out with writing, I make a music video.
Sure.
If I'm getting burned out with playing live shows, I make a CD.
Okay.
Then when I get sick of, and then when I'm done recording, I'm excited to go play live again. So you sort of mix it up, and that also helps me keep going as well.
Sure. Those are great words of wisdom. I feel like anything that you're trying to do, whether you're a musician, artist, entrepreneur, always should be working on your craft. I mean, that is tenfold across the board for anyone, even like myself. Always should be working on what I'm doing, what I'm putting out there, and find new ways to stay passionate and creative about it. But John, thank you so much for joining us and for that beautiful song that you played. You guys, this is your host, Deanna Kemple with Label Free Podcast. To live your best life, you must live label free. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, share, follow, and I'll be back soon with more dynamic guests.